All right, good morning, fourth graders. It's Pi Day. It's March 14, 2020. On Saturday, Miss Rand's going to go for a 3.14 run after I teach you our mini lesson today. A little bit different. Miss Rand's in her home sweet home, not in our home sweet classroom, which makes me sad, but I'm excited for this opportunity to learn together from my home. So fourth graders, maybe you have a cup of coffee, hopefully not, but Mr. Ann does as I'm getting ready to teach you today. Fourth graders, we've been learning about nonfiction texts, and today I'm going to teach you the importance of note-taking. Last week, if you remember, we learned about the different ways to structure our notes. You can structure your notes chronologically, compare, contrast, problem solution, or cause and effect. And today, readers, I want you to know that readers record only the important things in the text. You don't have to record everything in your text. Secondly, we pause at the ends of chunks to recall the text structured in a certain way. As we think about how the text is structured, that's going to help us take our notes. So we're going to go ahead and do that work today. I'm going to open the Women's Right to Vote, this text. And as we read this, I want you to open your notes and think about what's the most important thing in the text. What am I thinking? What do I need to record? Because when I'm reading with something with so much information, it's important that I know that I don't have to record everything in the text. So I'm going to read to you a chunk, and we're going to stop, and we're going to write down the important things in the text. Marching toward suffrage. Between 1910 and 1913, suffragists organized annual parades to draw attention to their cause. The first parade in New York City was small, but in 1912, 20,000 women marched in the parade. More than 500,000 spectators lined the parade route. That same year, NAWSA scored victories in Oregon, Arizona, and Kansas. I'm going to stop, because readers stop at the end of chunks to take notes. I'm going to stop and write down 1912 in New York, 20,000 people marched. I'm also going to give my notes a heading so I know where I got this information from. And my heading is that marching toward suffrage. I'm going to keep reading, thinking about the structure. Also that year, presidential candidate Theodore Roosevelt supported women's suffrage in his campaign. Though Roosevelt lost the election, his support made women's suffrage a major political issue. Women were finally gaining the recognition they needed to move their idea for a constitutional amendment forward. In 1913, suffragists turned up the heat by staging a parade in Washington, D.C. on the eve of President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration. The driving force behind the parade was Alice Paul. I'm going to stop and take notes. In 1913, Washington, D.C. held a march on Roosevelt's inauguration. And as I'm reading, I'm thinking, what's the most important thing here? I'm noticing that my text is structured chronologically. So I'm going to have those dates there. And I learned, so I'm looking at my notes and I'm thinking about, okay, what did I learn from this information? Because we don't want to just write down notes without thinking about them. I learned that women's marches grew over time. An important detail to support this, I'm going to look back at my text. I remember I'm saying that the parade grew. 20,000 marched in the parade, and then it grew with that inauguration. It doesn't say exactly how it grew, but it drew a massive crowd. So it grew from that first initial parade in New York City was small. 1912 it grew. That parade is growing, and that's making me think that women are gaining more power. Fourth graders, as you go off and read your nonfiction text today, I want you to be thinking about stopping at the ends of your chunks to take notes, structuring your notes, and making sure that your notes are brief. They don't need to be long. And then I want you also, there will be a section in your homework, because I want you to also think about explaining your notes. What does that make me think? Not just recording the details, but helping you grow a new idea. Happy reading, fourth graders.